Hi friends, it's Wednesday, April the 27th, 2022, and I'm out here in the garage to share with you my first 800 miles on my beautiful 2022 Honda 750X. I want to focus here on things that I've learned over the 800 miles that I've had the bike that you might not have learned from other reviews. Parts for the OEM center stand were only $115. My guess is that they would have been included as standard but for a desire to keep the curb weight down. The engine position and the underseat's fuel tank make the bike feel light and easy to balance. This is true when pushing it around in the garage and when riding, even at very slow speeds. The right angle valve stems were a very nice surprise. I normally don't expect much from the rear brake. This one will actually stop the bike on its own. The single front brake on this bike is also surprisingly good, perhaps because at 320 millimeters it's fairly large. I've also been very pleasantly surprised by this seat, which seems to have been much improved from earlier models. Several 2-hour rides so far and no trace of a numb bum. I'm 6 feet with a 32-inch inseam and the ergonomics are perfect for me. The suspension also seems well dialed in for my 220 pounds. Smooth throttle response at slow speeds is at the top of my must-have list. The throttle response is excellent, butter smooth, and totally predictable. These GV handguards were only $130 and spare my hands from much of the cold blast in the winter. The OEM rear carrier is of very good quality, easily installed, looks good on the bike, and is functional, but at more than $300 was a surprisingly expensive option. My GV 30-liter model lock top case is a good minimalist size for the bike and holds my XL Shoei Neotech 2. The windscreen is surprisingly effective to me given its small size, but then my BMW is a naked bike. The Frunk is one of my favorite features on the bike. Plenty of room for a tire repair kit, electric pump, and such, with enough room left over to pick up groceries. Wonderful. The display is somewhat maligned for being an old-school LCD. When other bikes, such as my 2021 BMW F900R, have a more modern TFT display. There is no doubt that the BMW display is visually appealing, but I actually find it less informative than the Honda display. The top panel will show various details, but only one at a time, so that, for example, it's not possible to display trip miles and the fuel gauge simultaneously. The Honda display, on the other hand, has a permanent fuel gauge at the top and 2 user-selectable displays at the bottom. My setup shows trip A miles on the right and time since the engine started on the left. By the way, another nice feature is that the trip meter resets automatically when the fuel tank is refilled. Other pleasant surprises. My average fuel consumption of 65 miles per US gallon gives me a range of 200 miles with another 50 miles of reserve. The dual clutch transmission supports 4 driving modes including Sport and User. My User setup is the same as Sport, save for slightly less engine braking, 2 instead of 3, and slightly lower RPMs for automatic shifting, 3 instead of 4. The biggest difference between this transmission and the up and down quick shifter on my BMW is that this one is smoother and in automatic features mind reading.